In this video, I'll be covering my personal Astrocade collection. This is part 6, and this is the beginning of covering 8 boxes of the Bob Fabris collection, which are in my personal possession. In this one, I cover box 1, and I don't get all the way through it. There are about 50 folders in that box, and I actually only cover a small portion of them because I kind of give an overview of all of these boxes. This will only be done in this video. From this point forward, I cover about 6 folders in this one, but the rest of the videos coming out in the next few weeks and months will cover probably more folders and less time. So if you're looking at the length of this video, which is about an hour, don't worry so much about that. The rest of them will be shorter, or if they're about this length, then they'll cover much more. I dubbed this box 1 of the Bob Fabris collection, and I'm going to give a slight bit of background on this collection as I'm going through it a little bit. But here's the box. I have 8 of these boxes. It was bought from Larry Anderson in January of 2008, and it is now 2021, so about 13 years ago, by Paul Thacker and I. We split the collection between mostly he and I, and we also gave all the EPROMs, I believe, to Michael White. I have an email about that I'm going to read shortly, but in the meantime, I am going to take a closer look at the box from the outside and show a comparison, and also measure it and tell you how much it weighs, because this is just one box. First off, a couple of thank yous for making this collection available. As it says here, this is the Bob Fabris collection, and as I said a few moments ago, this was bought by Paul Thacker and I. It cost us approximately, it doesn't matter what it cost us. It was not cheap, but it was also not overly expensive for what we were able to get at the time. We bought this because Larry Anderson, a collector in the general Astrocade community and also in the general community altogether, in 2001 bought the entire collection from Bob Fabris, and it was shipped to him. And I don't know if he probably went through it a bit, maybe took out what he wanted. I don't know how much he took out, but he pretty much kept the entire collection intact as a complete, and he didn't want to get rid of it a little bit at a time, which I'm glad. So if you're ever watching this video, Larry, I appreciate that. I think everyone in the Astrocade community does. This box here is not how everything was sent to us, but it basically is everything that was in a box. And when I open this up, you'll see that this is just a whole bunch of folders. And this box I know how much it weighs because I just weighed it. This box weighs about 23 pounds, 23.3 pounds as a matter of fact. And so it's 15 inches by 12 inches. And I've got 8 boxes that are identical to this. This one is, I think, the least full, and it's pretty packed solid. And I'm going to go through it a little bit today. There's way too much stuff in here for me to go through all in one video. I mean, my last video was 55 minutes. The one before that was 45 minutes. I think that's too long. I want to try to keep them a little bit shorter. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to maybe cover 1/3 to 1/2 of a box in each video, depending on what's in it. My stuff is mostly documentation, and I'm going to read something to you, but that's from a Bob Fabris that I answered in January of 2008. And he asked us what we thought of our collection that we got. But before I do that, I want to show you one quick thing. So, I'm not sure if this shows up too good on here. Yeah, sure it does. This is every single issue of the Arcadian. Every single one. The Arcadian ran, let's see, I wrote all this down. The Arcadian ran from November 6, 1978 to August 15th, 1986. So for a good number of years, about 8 years. And before November, it had I want to say 5 issues that I consider pre-Arcadian. It was a newsletter called The Arcadians. Some of them were just 1 page. The longest one, which was the last one, was 4 pages, so 2 pages front and back. And they were released in April, May, June, September, and October of 1978. And keep in mind that the very first Astrocade didn't ship until, or it wasn't called the Astrocade at the time, it was called the Bally Professional Arcade, or Bally Home Library Computer. It shipped in January 1978, and Basic shipped in September of 1978. So once that Basic version shipped, the Arcadian community was able to become alive, and they started exploring how the system worked. But there's, like I said, there's 8 boxes here. I visited Paul Thacker's house in 2017 in the spring, and I guess, yeah, it was around spring, because it was about March, and I saw all of his boxes, which most of it were tapes, but there was other documentation as well, and he had 6 or 8 boxes as well, so let's say 16 boxes, plus we sent off some EPROMs to Michael White. And I'm going to just keep in mind that this is all of this, basically all of these newsletters were created from information in these 16 or so boxes. So this is a lot of boiling down. So imagine how much more information is in these boxes. And we'll start going through it, and I'll learn some, and you'll learn some. Okay? Here is a look inside what I consider box 1 of the Bob Fabris collection. And I'm going to read you, there's a discussion group, or there was one, on Yahoo groups, and I'm going to read you a message that I replied to on January 23rd, 2008. And then we'll get into this box, and we'll start looking through it, and maybe we'll cover this much today. That's my hope. If I can cover, you know, there's so much stuff in here. I mean, I could probably open up one folder and just cover that and make an entire episode about it, but obviously I can't do that. And keep in mind, I'm going to say this every single video, maybe more than once per video, that all of this has been scanned. Everything in the other 7 boxes has been scanned, and it's all available in various places, but mostly on ballyalley.com and archive.org. I'll try to put some links into some of the material that's in this episode, but we will see how it goes. So here's this. I printed this this morning, or this afternoon, and this was sent from me to the Astrocade group on Yahoo, which is no longer available. But now if you go to groups.io and look for the Bally Alley discussion group, you'll find it. So on groups.io, go there and check it out. It's message 5151, and Bob Fabris, who knew that we bought the collection from Larry Anderson, wrote and said, "Reading your notes in Bally Alley, how about a few words on the open quote collection you recently acquired? Question mark, question mark, question mark." And I wrote, and I'm glad I wrote this because this helped me remember what the heck was going on back then, because it was 13 years ago. And I wrote, "Paul and I acquired everything as one lot that you originally sold to Larry Anderson. We're both still sorting through it. For the most part, though, I got the paperwork, Paul got the tapes, and Mike White was sent the ROMs and what we thought was a Z-Grass keyboard. And honestly, I don't remember what that keyboard was. Maybe it was a keyboard for the Blue Ram? Oh no, actually, I think I do remember what it was. It was a Viper keyboard. I think it's the only one I know of in the community, and I think Paul Thacker has it now. Yeah, that's what it was. And I think Paul also got a Viper 1, I think. Paul, if you're watching this, remind me, maybe in the notes, or just send me a certain thing to the discussion group or something. And I put just a dribble of it online as a few scans. Paul has archived Goldfish demo. Mike White just received his shipment, and he is going through it presently. And so from the shipment, Mike was able to archive some software. I don't remember what was archived exactly. I had some stuff, I think, but WordShrake also helped archive some material as well. And from this, we got quite a few new programs that were like prototypes and things like that. But that's this message, and I've downloaded this and looked at it this morning. I was brought back a flood of memories. And I do want to cover an email that I did get from my buddy Chris yesterday, but I don't know how to really do that without making this video a little bit boring. So I'll try to figure that out here in a second. Depending on how lazy I am when I make this part of the video, either you're going to get to look at this, and this is actually a catalog. I'll show a quick of what it looks like when you get it. This is a late catalog, and it shows most of the stuff in here is never, well, some of the stuff in here was never released. This is says Bally Professional Arcade from Astrovision Inc. More games, more fun, more to come from the leader in video game technology. And you open it up, it's another trifold thing. And what you get is Space Fortress was a game here, and that was released. The Wizard, that was released as The Incredible Wizard. It's actually a port of The Wizard of War. I guess it's an official port, even with a changed name. You get Cosmic Raiders, which was released. You get Munchie, which was not released, and I was talked about in the last video, and I showed you test program. So if you check it out, this is what the art was going to look like for the cover. So it's called Bunchy. Do you have any idea what the game might have been like? All right. Then we have Pirates Chase, which some people don't care for, and it's an okay game as a one-player. I think it's a great game as a two-player game. Solar Conqueror. This is a pretty rare game, and it's one of my favorite games for the Astrocade on cartridge. And you close this, and you get to look at two prototypes. You have Coloring Book with Light Pen and Music Maker, and neither of these came out. This would have been really great. There are some people in the Bally community back in the early 80s and even I think the late 70s who made some light pens, but they were never released officially. And if you look at this side, you have Quest for the Orb, which also was never released. And I made an in-depth video about this called Conan the Barbarian. And if you looked at that video, it gives a ton of background about this game. Because while it wasn't released, there's a prototype that's far enough along that you can play quite a bit of. Although, and I guess I was going to say, it doesn't look like that, but it looks like that to some extent. And let's see what else we have. I think that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this here like that. And I'm going to read my feedback that I got from my buddy Chris++ in an email yesterday. And I got my glasses on, so I look like an old man probably. And Chris writes to me, I don't know, nearly daily basis. We're close friends. He lives nearby. We haven't gotten together for, gosh, a couple of months now. But in fact, I was in his neighborhood. He's not aware of this, but just the day before yesterday, I had to go up to his part of town, and I was just a few blocks from his house, but I didn't have a chance to stop by. And he wouldn't have been home anyway at that time. So here we go. He says, Adam, and this is about video, in this series, video 3 and video 4. So not the last video, but the two previous ones, which covered a couple of boxes. I think, 4 boxes total? And he says, I really dug going through the remainder of your Astrocade boxes, quote, with you, and seeing all of those goodies again. One of my favorite parts of either of those videos is when you talk about how getting everything from books, especially those with somewhat dry academic approaches, would take a lot of fun out of video games. You point out that the writer of Media Snatcher, which is a book I showed in one of the videos that covers the TurboGrafx and Turbo Duo, that the book did a fine job and you recommended it, so your comments don't come off as negative or anything, but it's truly a great moment when you say, the fun part of classic gaming is, what's inside this box? You just happened to have placed the book on one of the Astrocade boxes, so it's great that it occurred to you to illustrate what you were saying with a perfect example that was right at hand. Now, he goes on to say more stuff, and I'm hoping that this isn't boring the heck out of people here. I've noticed this segment is already 4 minutes long, and it might be edited a little bit, but what I'm hoping to do is scroll around bits of this during this video, so give you something to tantalize your eye, since this is not a podcast. This is, a video after all. Let's see. He goes on to say, I also liked your slightly later comment, I'm going to have fun no matter what. I don't care what you think of my video, which is true. I mean, I hope that you do have fun watching it, but to me, it's why I do it for myself. When I tape it out like that, it looks grumpy, but you said it in a perfectly friendly, matter-of-fact way, and that really hit home the whole point. All of this stuff is supposed to be enjoyable. Without the resulting enhanced quality of life, life just goes by somewhat uneventfully. And Chris, you're right there. Enjoying the moments as they happen is the point. And almost nothing makes it easier to do that than playing a game. That's the central word, after all, behind all of the hardware, software, books, podcasts, and videos. Game. Yeah, you're right on, man. You've got it right. This is why you and I have been friends. I mean, we've known each other since 1986, and this is why we've been friends since the mid-90s when we reconnected. I've forgotten Muncher was sold with those test program labels. And again, this is Munchie here. Let's see, where was I at? It cracked me up to see those again, but hey, it's presumably worked. I'm not sure how long the cartridge was being sold through the newsletter, but I think we would have known about it by now if Bob Fabris had gotten into some kind of legal trouble. And I agree. I don't think he did. And I think, I want to say there was another company that sold the same game with a different label. And they were on the East Coast instead of the West Coast, and their label did say Muncher on it in big red letters. Speaking of Bob, that's some seriously interesting correspondence you've held on to. I remember when you wrote to him about their germination of Bally Alley, the software CD project, not the website. but it's cool to see the old typeface. Was that printed from the Amiga? And those two pieces of Atom history at the bottom, your old TVI and Thuntech addresses. He's referring to my email addresses because that's what he used to write to me back in the late 90s. And yeah, I told him in a reply that I think I did write to the Bob using my Amiga, and I used to have an inkjet printer. And I did have a PC at the time, and I used it, but mostly I used it to surf the web, and I even surfed the web using my Amiga. But at the time I had a friend here who's also making his own videos. His name is Quintech Retro. If you want to check out his videos, there'll be a link below this video. He covers lots of systems himself. Originally he was covering the Amiga, and now he also covers many systems. But I enjoy his videos. You should check them out. You speak rightly of how fortunately Bally owners were that Bob did so much to keep things alive when the systems just weren't being supported. Considering how orderly he kept letters from you and others, I think the two main reasons he was so successful, in relative terms, with the Arcadian and made it into something that looked upon to this day as one of the primary boons for the BPA, meaning Bally Professional Arcade, and the Astrocade community are that 1, he was very, very organized, and 2, he didn't let his wife throw away anything, which is also true. I've never had anyone who was my wife have me throw anything away, and I guess the closest I ever came to doing that was giving things away when we moved about 2 decades ago from New Mexico to California for a while. And it wasn't that I was told to do that, but it was just easier to give things away. And a lot of friends who were able to benefit from me giving stuff away. And that was also my first encounter with eBay selling items. And that's how I sold most of my collection at that time. And he also mentions, this is something I brought up and I was hoping someone would say, he says, the only non-Astrocade cartridge that I can think of that came with source code in the manual is for Magic Card by Comavid for the Atari 2600. And I had brought that up because I wasn't sure if maybe the source code for the Machine Language Manager for the Astrocade cartridge was the only one, but he's right, it was in there. And I've looked at that cartridge before, but I didn't, the manual is like 125 pages for Magic Card, and I haven't really explored it too deeply. But I was able to look at it, and that's pretty cool. And Chris goes on to say, when I was 10 or 11, I wanted basic programming for the VCS so badly that I had, and if I had known about the existence of Magic Card, I would have saved and saved so I could call Comavid and order it. And then, once it arrived, I would have ultimately done nothing with it. That manual looks very complicated, and he's right. When I took a look at the manual, it was more than I could handle. Then he says about one of the videos where there's a binder with a whole bunch of handwritten and programs that were collected by Richard Hauser, who I got part of my Astrocade collection from. He says, the binder collated by Richard must constitute the most interesting collection of type-in programs ever assembled. It's fascinating to see the sheer patience of those who carefully printed out, by hand, all of that basic code. I guess if you didn't have access to a suitable printer, you had to get it documented somehow. I hand-printed basic programs for a bit, but that was before I had a computer and a disk drive. I didn't want to forget my ideas, such as they were, but they weren't anything near as neatly printed as the Bally guys' programs in that binder, nor as long. Great stuff, man. I really enjoyed it. So thanks for the feedback, Chris. I look forward to getting more feedback from you. I realize that this segment is already 10 minutes long, so I might have to do a little bit of editing to make this, maybe I'll talk about a little bit in there, or I could be lazy and you've been staring at this little scene here for the last 10 minutes. But it's time to dig into the collection, see what we have ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to it probably 10 times more than you guys, and maybe there's a few of you out there who are looking forward to it, and some of you are dreading, going, oh my gosh, we've got at least 8 to 16 videos ahead of us of going through a collection. This is not just an unboxing, this is an ultra unboxing. Well, now that you've listened to the feedback, now we're going to dig into the nitty-gritty, and we're going to look inside box 1 of the Bob Fabris collection. As I said, this one is labeled as box 1. It is, I packed it up in September 12th, 2008, and I completely scanned everything in this box, finally, after a couple years on and off of scanning it on January 19th, 2012. So it took me a good long time, and it's been scanned in for about 9 years. And let's open it up, have a peek inside. All right, so great. We have many, many folders, and you can't see what they say from here. I'm just realizing that now, but I'm going to go through and brush it. But what I'm going to do is, to make some more room, I'm going to show this. This is basically a padded envelope, tells you what's inside of it, which is Bob Fabris, box 1, high quality 300 DPI TIFF scans, 3.78 gigabytes and 1,481 files and 366 directories. And I created this DVD on January 24th, 2012. And I will open it up to show you basically what we've got here. So we have a printout using the tree command. So if you can see that, this is every single file as it's named. And it just goes for 35 pages. So it's, I mean, I printed this using a special mode of my printer so that I can fit 2 pages per page. But yeah, it tells you everything is named. So if I want to say, so if this is how it is on archive.org. So if you're looking for this and you want to see, say, folder 26, okay, which is in here, it's called respond. So in this, in here, folder 26 is labeled as respond, and there's a letter from Al Zabar, Bernard Havner, David Zadstern. That's how this entire 8 boxes was scanned. Most of it 1 page at a time, because it couldn't really go through a sheet feeder scanner, even though I have one. Because if it had gone through a sheet feeder scanner, it would have been screwed up. And most of them are grayscale and not color, but some of them are grayscale. So this DVD holds everything in this box, and you can look at it online if you want. And some of it's in easy to read formats. Some of it's only in TIFF formats, some's in PNG formats, just depends. It's out there if you're interested. I don't know how many people in this video actually want to go through the work to find that stuff, but I'm going to lower the angle here so we can see what's in here, and then we'll get started. And I've probably already got a lot going on here, so maybe I'll just go through a few folders at a time, and then I'll wrap it up. And I'm already talking about wrapping it up, and I haven't even looked at one folder yet. My goodness. Let's try this angle and see how it goes. We are looking at box 1 again, and I'm going to try to go with the folders. I'm going to pull them all up a little bit and see what's inside of them. Not even inside of them, I'm just going to see what they're called. So we've got the first one here called music. Next one here is called CPM, and for those who are familiar, CPM was a language for the or operating system for the 8080 and Z80. Did not run under the Astrocade, but if you can believe it, there were people who got it to run on the Astrocade in some way. We have something called the Blue Ram keyboard. This one's blank. It was just some extra papers. I put it in a folder. Here's something called Larry Camnitz, and I know he wrote some programs. There's only a few sheets in there. A light pen folder. Las Vegas CES folder. I mean, some of these things are just great what's inside of them. When I say some of these boxes or some of these folders, every single folder is full of material that is incredible that it survived for this 40 years. It's just incredible. Letters, ad under mailings. Let's see. Don't know what this is. It's just plastic and a whole bunch of, man, it's like, okay, I'll show you an example when I get to this. But this is like, this paper here is made so it's really thin. It's see-through. I mean, it's like a, maybe this was sent from overseas, but if you've ever sent a letter overseas, I don't know if they do this so much anymore, but you would get sheets of paper that were really, really brittle and really, really thin. So here we go. Keep on going. Programs, folder 9. So like folder 9 now, so this is all, I consider this folder 9. If I was to show you that list again that I showed you a few minutes ago, looked up folder 9, if I was to look up this, that's on that DVD. It's also on archive.org. Walters commercial programs, AMI data. So this would be stuff about the custom chips from AMI. Wow. Man, it's amazing. I love these boxes. Yeah. All right, what else? Perkins Engineering. All right, well, doing it this way is going to take forever, so let's try to figure out another way to do it. So what I could do is tell you the basics of what's in every single one of these boxes. But you know what? I'm not going to do that because I'm going to go through every single one of these folders, and I see now that it's going to take longer than one or more than 2 to 3 videos to do this. Maybe some of them I'll skip if they're not too interesting, but I would like to do them all. So if this takes 50 videos, it takes 50 videos. No one has to watch these. These are for my own entertainment, and man, going through these things makes me want to just start typing away to the Google group and saying, oh, look what I came across, look what I came across. But I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to make this video, and if people want to investigate what's out there, you can find it. All right, let's go through the first folder, and that's going to be one called Music. See, it's this one. And this will be the last time you see the top of this box, hopefully until box number 2, which is obviously going to be several videos away. So I'm going to take out this one, and then I'm going to start showing you what's inside of them. I'm only going to do this one time, but I wanted to show you something interesting about all of these folders. I was going to call them manila folders, but I don't really think this is manila. I don't know what color it is, but brown folders. Like here it says Music, and this one says CPM. And the reason I'm showing you the tops of these and not what's inside is because all of these, I think, were recycled basically from where Bob Fabris was working. So here it says Music, and it's written on top of some letters written with red ink. And on the back, you can see that this was used somewhere else. And I don't know what those mean. They're not significant for the Astrocade collection, but it's interesting that these were reused folders. And they're holding up pretty well. I mean, these folders, beginning from 42 years old, these folders are. But here's another example. Like, so some of them will have like letters, or not letters, like sentences and names on the outside of them written. And I don't think they have anything whatsoever to do with the Astrocade collection. But it's interesting. So this one says CPM. In the back, we have all of this extra stuff, which is from when this folder was originally labeled as 2538. You know, I don't know what that means. That seems a designation that would be a little hard to remember. But yeah, then it says end caps stay same, things like that. And I can't remember off the top of my head of what Bob Fabris did. I want to say when he was retired, probably, or maybe not quite retired, but he retired during the stay of the Arcadian because he talks about it in the newsletter. So that's that. Now I'm going to start digging through this music one, and I won't be talking about the backs or the manila folders anymore. I will just be showing you what's inside, and that's what these videos are hoping to all be about. So this is, again, box 1 of the Bob Fabris collection, of what I call my half of the Bob Fabris collection. Paul Thacker has some of it as well. It'd be interesting, and Paul, if you're watching this and you feel like it, go through some of your collection too. I'd like to see some of your videos. You have lots and lots of tapes, and sure, there's pictures of them, and people can download them if they go to archive.org. But you know, there's the history and the stories behind these tapes, and Paul knows a lot about the tapes and the collections from people who wrote tapes. I think even more than I do, for sure. I think more, because he did almost all the archiving by himself for the, not all of it, but nearly all of it. So much so that it might as well be all of it. So here's a hint of what's to come in just a few moments. All right, let's dig into folder 1. As I was just about to start this video, it occurred to me that, man, it would have been so cool to go through this collection with Bob Fabris himself. I never got to speak with him in person, although I did speak to him very briefly on the phone in the mid-90s when Richard Hauser called him. But other than that, there was not much to say, because I didn't know the guy. But like, here's a perfect example of a program. This is a music language program that was written by Brett Bilberry, and it says Music Program, Star Wars Example. Now this is scanned in on Bally Alley, but it wasn't scanned in color. So you can see that some of this stuff that's going to show up as grayscale and faint is actually red on this thing. So if this ever gets donated somewhere or anything like that, then it would be pretty exciting to see other people be able to go through this, or just start digging through my archives, the digital archives. So this was written by Brett Bilberry, and I would say like 1980-ish. Brett, you might be watching this video. If you are, then let me know. This allows people to use 3 voices instead of just the 1 voice that is normally available through BASIC. Here's another version of this. And I think Richard Degler took this program and got it going. This is called Machine Music Demo. And he took this program and typed it in and made it run. And here we go. So here's some handwritten note from so I guess from Brett. And it was probably folded into thirds, you know, so it looked like this. Came in an envelope, you know, and it said something like, or not something like, it said, "Dear Bob, here's the stuff. Hopefully more later, Brett." Well, thanks for sharing that, Brett. It made its way all the way to 2021. But you didn't expect that. So here's more. In fact, I was going through some of this in the digital archive form just recently. More. This is a photocopy. And like, I've kind of come to learn Bob's shorthand. Like when he didn't know what to do with something, he would write a little question mark. See that? You'll see that all throughout the Astrocade collection, or the Bob Fabris collection, and that was when he wasn't sure what really to do with something. So a lot of times in letters and stuff that he would write to other people, you can tell because of their responses, he would ask them, like, what do I do with this? So here's a color picture, again, that's scanned in grayscale, or maybe even black and white. So this is a critter and bullet, and this picture is what you'd see going around the screen, and that's a little critter program. And it wouldn't have been blinking. So here is the original document for, this is called The Music Synthesizer by Chuck Tomka. And this was printed in probably the first year of the Arcadian's existence. I'm happy I know some of this stuff, but it was printed over several issues, and each page took up, so one page, there were 2 pages printed per page in the Arcadian, if I remember right. And it took up several issues, but it explained how the music synthesizer worked. And it was mostly accurate. I would say he got, this guy Chuck, I'm not sure who he was, but he got people to understand how the synthesizer worked. And I actually think, I don't know if it shows here. Let's see if it's in the back. Yeah, Touchstone Simulator. So this is available in Archive, and I used it, and you would type in a number, and then it would play the tone that is required for a phone. Now this won't work with cell phones, but I tried it, and I typed in a phone number and put it to my TV speaker with my phone, and what do you know? It dialed the number using my Astrocade, so neat stuff. That was written April 28th, 1979. And we're going on to Memory Display, another program by Chuck. That's the same program that I just showed you. That's basically everything to do with that. So that is the first folder. One down, about a couple hundred of folders to go. We'll see how this goes. It's I'm having fun, and as long as I'm having fun, I'm gonna keep doing this. And also, I hope that you find something tantalizing in here that catches your fancy, and you're like, I'm gonna try to find that in the archives. And not everything is easy to find, but it's there. Best place to find solutions would be to go to the Bally Alley discussion group on groups.io and ask questions if you can't find something there. There's either I can help you or hopefully other people can help you, because I can't answer every single question, obviously. But it's around. So let's go on to the next one, and the next one is labeled, I think, CPM. We'll see. This one is labeled CPM. CPM was a operating system created by Digital Research back in the 1970s, and it was basically the standard before MS-DOS. And basically, if you've ever used MS-DOS, you have a really good idea of how CPM worked. People had high hopes that CPM would be ported to the system that would be eventually called the Ad-Ender or the Z-Grass, but that system never even came out. So nothing like that was ever forthcoming from Bally. And I don't even believe Bally actually said they would create an operating system port of CPM for the Astrocade or for their Bally system. But I think people in the community wanted it so badly that they kind of wished it into existence, because there was a way to do it back then, not now. But there was a way to run sort of CPM with your Astrocade. It was clunky, and I believe I only know of one person who did it, but he had it's actually in this box, so we'll get to it probably in several videos from now. But so CPM, the standard microcomputer software interface. So this is a photocopy of an article from Popular Electronics. I'm not sure what year, but from November 1979. Oh, and whenever I see a cartoon, I will hold it up, because I love these old cartoons from these things here. Computer Sciences Building, back-in entrance. Oh, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, well, of course. Nothing fancy about that, but sure. Actually, going back to that, I didn't have a good look. I was looking at it through the screen. Oh, I guess that is true. That's, I was going to say, I wonder if there's something in each one. But so turnkey CPM systems. So that would have been a system that you just plug in and it works automatically. Yeah, I don't know if anything like that came out, but probably, maybe, I don't know. I suppose possibly if there was a CPM system that was like a cash register or something, that would be a turnkey system. And I haven't read this, and stuff like this I haven't put on ballyalley.com, my website. This is from Creative Computing from December 1979. The reason I haven't put stuff like this is because it's not really exactly related to the Astrocade. I mean, it's semi-related, so it's been scanned, but it's not what you would call something everyone would probably want to read. And yeah, I believe I scanned all this stuff. Oh my goodness, check this out. Okay, note to self, Adam. Temple of Apshai ad in December 1979. So I have a thread on Atari Age that covers the Temple of Apshai, and I don't think I've ever noticed this before. So I wonder if this was in color in the original. Probably not. But this is a port of Temple of Apshai for the TRS-80 and PETs. And it says, I don't know if you've ever played it, but it's a role-playing game. Probably shouldn't be getting into this here because it's not really related to the Astrocade, but this is my video. So let's do a zoom in here. And Temple of Apshai, I've never seen that picture before. Huh, cool. Visit the Vault of the Dead. Oh, Vault of the Dead is a totally different game, I think. I don't know. Well, $25 and that game could have been yours. It was written in BASIC. I've played the trilogy version, which was came out in 1985. And I've played the BASIC version too, but it's not. I prefer the machine language version. So let's see what else is in here. Oh, this was. I just realized what I did. So that goes here. So I'm not going to go through any more of this. I'm going to wrap this one up and see what's in the next one, in the next folder, that is. I was going to say this is folder 3, and it is folder 3 in box 1. But I'm not going to say the folder numbers anymore because I'm going to end up losing count, so I'm not going to do it. This one is labeled B/R keyboard, so Blue Ram keyboard. Open it up, and it starts off with a letter from Andy Guevara. He's the one who wrote the Machine Language Manager, and signs it here. It is, yeah, I'm not sure what the letter's about, but it's about an ad. Ken Springsteen sent in pictures on June 15th, 1982, that contain his collection and his Bally setup, and these are available, and you can look at the scans. But here's his Bally setup. He's got his little cassette recorder here. He's got some of his tapes. Here's his tapes that he had in his collection. Check that out. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's made up of, I'm looking through my viewfinder to see this. But it's got his cassettes and some books that he's labeled. And here's the Machine Language Manager cartridge. I don't know if you can really see that. And the manual. Yeah, if you're interested in learning what the Machine Language Manager is, there was an interview recently on my podcast. The interview wasn't done by me, it was done by Kevin Bunch, but it's a great interview. So this is page, I don't know. I can't really read all these letters, obviously, but I'll go through them one by one. When one catches my eye, I will stop and read it. So a letter from Home Arcade Electronics, and he, dealer in his area has it. Here's a handwritten letter from Harry Gururo. Oh, here's something important. People don't really seem to do this anymore. Do people handwrite letters? Not often. Email isn't even a way to go, it seems like, anymore. But Bob used to get pretty frustrated, and we would talk about it in the newsletters. Like, people would write him something, a letter or what have you, and they wouldn't put a return address on the envelope. They wouldn't put a return address in the corner of their letter. And so some of them would send him money, and like he had no way to contact them, and sometimes he wouldn't even know who it was from. So he would very often ask people to be careful and make sure that they did that. But here's someone who wanted to place an ad, and it doesn't say the date. So, for instance, here's that question mark again I was talking about when someone says they want the most recent issue of the Arcadian. So he puts a question mark, meaning, in my mind, he's saying, which issue do you want? I don't know which the most recent one for you is. But here's someone that they said, please put the following ad in as soon as possible. And so there was the last page of the Arcadian almost always had a small amount of ads, like classifieds. And this one would have said, Astrocade units, cartridges, etc., St. Clair County area, phone, and then there's a phone number, discounts to Arcadians. So I guess this was someone who was trying to sell stuff. I'm not sure how that went. Yeah. Here's a tidbit, and people really were stingy with their paper. For instance, people would just type stuff out and use just a small sheet of paper. This is from someone named Mrs. Fisher. Check her out. And she says, why don't I place this ad with your monthly newspaper and see what happens? She says, a Bally Arcade computer system with 13 videocades. So she's trying to sell it for $375. So, yeah, there you go. Keep on going. Handwritten letter from someone whose name I can't see. Nick Brewer. Another handwritten letter. Man, if you ever get a chance to go through some of the letters that are actually posted on the Bally Alley website. I mean, most of this stuff isn't posted there. It's available in the huge, many gigabyte downloads that's available of this material on archive.org, but not generally, because it's just, I used to have this thing where I try to make the scans perfect. Stupid idea, Adam. I spent many years trying to make that happen. Should not have done that, but it doesn't matter. I don't do it anymore. Just like these videos. I used to want these videos to look nice and edited, and I don't have time for that. I mean, I would love it to happen. If I had someone who would do it for me, that'd be great. Like my buddy Chris++. When I make an episode of the podcast, a lot of times he'll edit it for me. So thank you, Chris, because otherwise the podcast probably wouldn't happen either. All right, here we go. Some more handwritten letters. Oh, here we are. Something from Wavemakers. So Mike Peace wrote some of my favorite software in BASIC for the system. And here he says, Dear Bob, enclosed is an ad for the next issue of the Arcadian. Please notify me as to the cost of running it, and I will send it to you right away. It will be nice to see you again at the CES, which would have been the consumer, he's talking right here, CES, Consumer Electronics Show. Lots of good wishes to you and the Arcadian. And the ad isn't here, but it would have been included here. And now, eventually, many boxes down the line, we're going to get to the ad that would have been included here. And he probably stapled it, or not stapled it, but cut and pasted it directly to a sheet of paper. And then when that was photocopied and reduced in size, because the Arcadians were usually not this size, they were usually 11 by 14. So they were this wide and then 17 inches tall. You can't see what I'm saying, but if this is the Arcadian and it's a copy and print paste version, some of them were this tall, and this would have been 17 inches, and this would have been 11 inches. So very wide indeed. Let's see. We've got. Here's something that sounds interesting. I don't know what's going on, but this is from, it doesn't say, but at the end he says something about snafu. I thought it was going to be about the Intellivision, but it's not. This person says, Dear Bob, I've given up on the ad under, and thus would like to place the following ad in the Arcadian. And he says, for sale, Bally Arcade, both basics, 280 Zap, baseball, clowns. It goes on and lists everything he had, all the cursors, all the Basic Express. Wow. So he's selling it for $500. And then he says, thank you for being the only honest businessman involved with this whole snafu. And, man, too bad, Larry. Sorry you got out of the system, but I don't blame you. If I'd been waiting for the ad under, I would have gotten out of the system a long time before as well. And I don't know when this was dated, but everything else in here seems to be from about 1982, so that's probably when it was from, too. Here we have Arcadian, Robert Fabris. Please put this ad in. This would have been for a company called SFP, and they were from California, and they have some catalogs, small catalogs that are online at Bally Alley. Man, I hope there's some people out here who have really combed through the website, and if you haven't, I hope you do. And unless you don't really care about it being most up to date, you can download the entire website in its entirety from archive.org in like basically one folder, one file, one directory, and then you just can browse the entire website and search it on your local computer. So that's a good way to do it. Here, what's this? Oh, this is someone writing an ad. I don't know when this ran. It looks like it ran on some page 9. Another ad. Oh, this is the original of the ad, so okay. So here's the original of the ad. So this is probably the ad from this person. So we're up to the last page, and what does the original ad say? 16 cassette tapes. Let's see if it would have been a good deal. Want to see if this would have been a good deal? I think this is. We'll check that out. We have, attention, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to purchase an extensive hardware and software library at less than half of the original cost. Everything is clean and in new or near new condition. You get a Bally Arcade wood grain finish. And for those who aren't aware, the Bally Arcade also has a rare version that was white. And I've seen it, and it sure has yellowed over the years. Some people really search it out because they think it looks cool. I think it looks cool, but I prefer the wood grain. 2 hand controllers, old BASIC with the interface, new BASIC, 8 video cades, the machine language manager, several third-party cartridges, and he lists them all at the end. Let's break it down. To purchase all of this new would have cost you $1,265, and the old BASIC isn't even available anymore, he says. I wonder if that's true. And he says for $600, you get it all, or best offer by September 1982. Well, that's a lot of good stuff. Let's see, 1982. I don't know if it would have been a good deal even then, because the Astrocade, I think you could buy it brand new at some places if you could find it for $25, but maybe that was more like 83. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I won't get into the history of that, but for a while there, the Astrocade could be bought for even less than you would ever expect. So we're done with this folder. I think I'm going to do one more folder, and that's it. So 4 folders? Wow, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to count up the folders before I start the next video to see how long this series is going to take. This is actually an unlabeled folder. It only has just a few sheets of paper in it. And I'll look through it real quick, see what the heck we've got here. I just counted up the number of folders in this first box, and there's about 50 of them. So if I do 5 per box, like there's, I don't know, this is going to take a long time. So I said earlier, as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing this. And it's true, I am. I might not do it every day. Maybe I'll just get back to it once in a while, but now that I'm going through this, I'm like, why didn't I do this years ago? Many years ago I could have done this, and just, I mean, I get myself familiar with them, but also get other people to like say, well, that sounds interesting. I'm going to try to dig into the actual stuff that's on archive.org and see what you have here. All right, so we have a UPS receipt from September 3, it says. Man, without my glasses, I'll tell you, I might as well just be guessing. From March 26, 1984 to Jay Polking, and oh, I know who that actually is. He used to make EPROMs for some of the cartridges. So he says that this was total charges $24.70, something like that, but the declared value was $250, and I don't know what he was sending off to him. It says parts, but let's go here. So there's little snippets like this too. This stuff was scanned too. Here's a little sheet of paper. So Sarah Tahoe, yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's scanned. Maybe it'll be important sometime for someone to check it out. So we have, this is a program written by Brett Bilbray. I don't know if this actually made it into the Arcadian. So tutorial. So it says, oh, this is that silver paper I mentioned before in a previous video. That is, heat is what makes it work. And they start to fade. And if you try to take a, like back in the, and it would have looked like this, but back when Bob was making his newsletter, he would have put this in and made it black and white or grayscale. So I don't know what this newsletter or what this tutorial is on roulette, but there we go. And it says, well, this discussion won't let you play roulette, but we'll start you off with one leg of producing such a game or something else using this technique. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I don't really remember this from the Arcadian, but that probably was in there, because here we go. This is Brett, I'll just tell you, here's something else by Brett Bilbray and Joe Borello. I'm not sure if that's Borello or Borillo. Depends if it's Italian or if it's, it looks like it would be Borillo, Joe Borillo. Seeing that I live here in Albuquerque, and that looks very much like something I would see around here, but maybe it's Borello. So anyway, here's a program written by, but it doesn't say what it is. Oh, it says Life 2. Oh, Life for 2. Okay. I think this was in the Arcadian. Maybe not. Man, I'll tell you. That's it. That's all that's in here. But here's a program, and luckily this is not handwritten. So either this was sent to Bob on a tape, and then Bob printed it out on his own on the silver paper, or this was sent to Bob from Brett or Joe on this sheet of paper. In fact, if one of you guys, I don't know about Joe being available, but I know Brett's available, and maybe you can answer some of these questions that I have popping up now and then, people who are still part of the community. So I'm going to do one more folder. This, I didn't even realize this folder was in there. It was like so hidden because it's so small. One more folder, and then that's it for this box, because, oh wait, here we go. There's something on the back of here too. And you know what's a shame is I don't think I scanned the back of most of these sheets of paper. And this says Life for 2, needs work, number 2 or 221. Just notes, random notes that would have been put on there by Bob. Closing that one up, and we'll get out the next one. This folder is by, or it's labeled Larry Camnitz, and I think he wrote a program called Dragon or something like that, which got a really bad review in one of the newsletters. But that's, it doesn't really matter right now. Let's see what we have in here. There's not too much. Here's a handwritten note from Larry, labeled, or written February 8th, 1982. And we'll just check it out. I think this might be for the Dragon, but we'll see. We've got beautiful yellow paper, listing, and this would have been photocopied. So, oh, here's a good example. This was, how Bob would have taken it. So he would have made a listing onto silver paper, and he put the border around it for his Arcadian newsletter, and then he would have photocopied this onto a master, even though this is really the master. This is the cut and paste version. And then he would have, the master that was just like a grayscale version of this, that would have been the master for whenever he was photocopying the newsletters for all the individuals who got it. And that's how this newsletter was put together. And I don't know if you can tell, but here's the tape. Back in 1982, this tape would have been invisible, but it's yellowed over the years. So you would have photocopied that, and you would have had a nice, beautiful white sheet of paper that was just had the program listing. And although this is called Vegas 500, you can see right there, Vegas 500. Yeah, I guess I made a mistake by not doing the back of these pages. Anyone who's an archivist out there can realize right now that I am obviously not a professional, because a professional would have done these all in grayscale and the back of the pages. And oh, look at that, there's 2 pages. I didn't even realize that. Okay, so let's see what he has to say. Bob, these are gambling games for 2 to 4 players. The race game is not speed, but decisions. Give them a good try with your friends. The Dragon is based on Joker's Wild. The length of time involved depends on the greed of players. If you can't use them, keep the tape with my compliments. Let me know what your opinions of them is. They are the last games I worked on, Larry. P.S. Keep the checks coming. I don't know what he's referring to there, but I just remembered about this program. So the Dragon program has, that's not this one, but maybe it's this one. He actually had on his tape, and when Paul Thacker developed it, or archived it, not developed it, he found that Larry had left a note on there, basically, and it described the instructions for Dragon. So on archive.org, I think it's on Bally Alley, my website, there you can listen to Larry talking about the Dragon and how the rules work. So that's pretty neat. Alrighty. And man, I just want to keep going through this collection, but obviously this video will get forever long. So this is 2 pages. And this is probably, let's see if it says Dragon anywhere in here. It's asking for a number of players. Go to 10, go-tos, lots and lots and lots of go-tos and go-subs, because this is basic. And I don't know if you guys remember, but basic on the Astrocade only has 1.8K of RAM available to it. So it doesn't say, but I think that this is Dragon, or the Dragon. But I could be totally wrong. I'm going to close this up, and since I just can't stop making these, I'm going to make one more folder. No, I'm not going to make a folder. I'm going to show what's up ahead, because there's one folder in there in particular I want to get to, but it happens to be the very last folder. And since it's the last folder, it's going to be in a while. But I want to leave this one here, and I'm going to compare it to this one in size. So this was the folder we just went through, the Larry Camnitz folder. And this is the last folder in there, so this is about folder number 50. And this was folder, what, number 5, number 6, something like that. So this is not going to show up for a few catalogs, or for a few videos. And but I'm going to show you what's in this one, just to give you a taste of how thick this one is. So look at this folder, look how thick it is, and then we'll compare it to this folder. I can guarantee you that this folder right here is going to take more than one video just to go through by itself. But I'm going to flip through it really quickly to give you a taste of what's up to come, because I'm excited to get to it. So if I'm excited, y'all should be excited too. This is going to be the last folder I go through. I still have most of that entire box to go through, so a lot of fun times to come. Open this up, brown folder, and inside we have folders from Astrovision. And I think these were handed out at the CES. I'm going to do close-ups when we get to this. But when you open them up, here's what you get inside. Earlier in this video, I was looking at this. This is that trifold catalog. But this is all stuff that would have been available, I think, at the CES show floor. But like it tells about advertisements that are coming up, TV ads. I don't know who Keller, Rubenstein, and Jacobs advertising is, but you know, Kevin Bunch has been looking up a lot of people. And Kevin, if you're watching this or listening, you might want to try to look up this advertising firm and see if there's anyone you can contact. In fact, you might want to contact Wes Thomas to find out if they remember working with Astrovision on any of these ads and TV commercials. Wow, like yeah, I'm not going to get into these, but these are all advertisements, and this is all available. You can find all this online. It's all been scanned, and it's been dumped in basically this format. So if you're ever, I guess I should go over how this is dumped on archive.org. It's all in one download. I've mentioned that already, and it's like the directories are broken up into boxes, and then under the boxes they're broken up into folders. So if you were looking for I don't know, let's see, we'll just pick a random one. The press release for January 7th, 1982, and you wanted the TIFF version of that, you would go to approximately folder 50 or so in box number 1 of the Bob Fabris collection, and then you type in something, and you look for a file name called something like, I don't know, Astrovision or Keller. It'll have something that's about this, and then you'll be able to find it. Like this was Astrovision introduces Music Maker at CES. That is a cartridge that never even came out. So, product description, yeah. So there's one. I think the other one is identical. And like I said, I'm not going through these detailed. Oh no, this is not identical at all. Oh, so there were people who would send Bob, I'm not going through all this, I just said I wasn't gonna, but there were people who sent Bob, and Bob did this himself, they'd tear out pages from magazines. So this was torn out from video game magazines. The article is called The House That Pac Built, Bally Manufacturing. So, oh look at that, and there's Gunfight, the original. Okay, but I'm not going to go through all this, but these are all, oh wow, oh this was lovely. This was passed out. Oh, so I think some of this is what Bob, oh yes, so this is what Bob picked up at the CES. So this is scanned. You can find this in other places just besides me, but I happen to have done a pretty good scan. You can look at this. Do anyone notice what that is? Introducing the greatest thing to happen to the video game since the joystick. And if you see, this is the Atari 2600. Most people who are into the classic systems probably know about this already, but this is GameLine. This is the company eventually became America Online. But it's a modem that you would plug into your Atari 2600 and would let you download software. So what a great piece of history this is. Krypton Star. This was something I definitely did not scan because it wasn't related to the Astrocade. I don't think I scanned it. Man, now I'm feeling bad. There's a lot of stuff that I probably didn't scan. Here's an ad for the ColecoVision Atom. This is all stuff that probably was not scanned by me. Microfidelity, Spectra Video. Ooh, the Spectra Video. If anyone is familiar with what that is. Oh, wait. Oh, here's a... Oh, man. I just skipped it. Here we go. So, this is a computer that was released. And when my buddy Chris++ and I were watching a lot of the video game show, which is escaping my head right now, but this computer right here was given away on that game show a lot. Chris, do you know what I'm talking about? Leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. Though I don't think you can leave comments because you're not into using Google, which I don't really blame you, honestly. But here's the typewriting thing on here. So this would have probably been unnerving to people who were attending the 1982 show or so for the Astrocade, because they would have been like, the Astrocade's getting a little long in the tooth, ain't it? It's getting pretty old. But, you know, accessories by Spectra Video. Now these were something that came up a few years ago. I almost bought myself one because they were like $75 and they used to be really hard to find, but they came out from South America and plugs in and lets you turn your 2600 into a computer. This was, I used to have one of these. I used one back in the 90s, and terrible controller. Yeah, awful. Okay, what else we have here? Oh, CD-ROM technology. Or not even CD-ROM. CD technology. 1982, so this was the beginning of that. Wow. Wow, compact disc audio player. Look how big that thing is. Man, I'm still going through a box. Wow. The Magnavox FD 2000 SL. Nice stuff. 1983 products of the year. Oh, cleaning kit for the VHS machine. Wow. Okay. Keep on going. Oh, this is great. I actually found these two people last year or the year before, and they contacted me back right away, but then it all fell through. This was an article that they wrote in Creative Computing in what year? In 1981, but these are all pictures created on the UV1 computer. And I contacted them. They actually now have a vineyard, if I recall, and they specialize in wine. And this was probably in 2020, maybe 2019 now. But after they said, yeah, we'd like to do an interview, but we're busy right now because it's wine time, blah, blah, blah. They stopped contacting me after that, so they probably came to their senses and said, what are we going to have to talk about an article we wrote 40 years ago? Well, I tried. Anyway, more stuff here, more neat, weird stuff. Wow. Man, this is... So, my buddy Chris, I want to talk to you, and Christopher too, and Rick. If any of you find the stuff that's in here neat, let me know, because I'd like to go through this with other people. So here's more folders. expandable computer system. So check this out. This was sort of showed what an ad was that they had created. So it says, arcade, don't just play games. And it would have said something like, I can't really read that too clearly. Bally Arcade, a video computer system that gives you more than Atari or Intellivision. Arcade gives you 4-player capability and incredibly 256 colors. Arcade has features the others don't. And then finally, or not finally, a built-in music synthesizer, 3 built-in games, and a calculator. And Bally Basic, making the arcade a personal home computer. Arcade doesn't just play games. Now, I thought that this was actually based on the commercial that's available, but that one doesn't show. I don't think this version of Basic. Maybe it does. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, here's another catalog. This is different than the other one. This one's, I mean, and I love this collection. Every single time I go through it, I'm like, I want to share it with other people. And I guess I already have. Anyone can download this stuff. You know, neat stuff, neat stuff. All right, I'm going to skip this one. I am going to go through these, and actually I have stories about most of that stuff in there, so I'll do that in an upcoming episode, far, far from now, probably. Oh, here we are. Nitron catalog. So Nitron is the company that made, I shouldn't go into this too deeply. Basically, this is the company that made the chips for the Astrocade. They went out of business when Astrocade folded because they had thought they were going to get all this money, and I think they even made the chips, and then they didn't get the money. So, yeah, that's sad. What else we got here? I think there's another Nitro. Yeah, another one. These are all available. You can check these out. What else we have here? Oh, this is something this one is easy to find. Type in, go to archive.org and type in something along the lines of private screenings. Do this right now after you stop watching this video. Type in private screenings and Phil Wiswell. And I actually uploaded this all by itself in a really good format to look at because I was so impressed by this. This is actually from the magazine December 1982 issue of not video games magazine, just games. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but mostly they didn't ever cover video games. I remember I used to babysit for this lady back in about 1982 when I might have even seen this in she used to have a subscription to this magazine, and they never talked about video games. It was just like Scrabble type of things, stuff like that. But this article talks about all these systems and what makes the games fun and which games are good for which systems. So yeah, you can download this in a really high quality scan. You can even download the original TIFFs. But yeah, but it's on archive.org. So go there. You know, they're the people. Archive.org is the place that does the Wayback Machine. So go there and look at this. This is a really neat piece of history that I'm glad I was able to scan. What else we have here? Quickie stuff. Some addresses. Don't know what they're for. We'll look at them at a later date. Oh, here's a newsletter for ABC Hobbycraft. Yeah. Pretty neat, from the January 1983 issue. Yeah, the one online is scanned in black and white, not grayscale. It looks much better this way. We have a letter to all the creditors of Nitron. Oh, so there you go. Here's a letter. Nitron was already going out of business and declared bankruptcy in 1983. Yeah, it didn't take long. I mean, when one company goes down, like a lot go down with it. It's pretty unfortunate. Oh, I also put this on archive.org because I liked it so much. Just by itself, but this was here's a picture of the UV1 computer, well, drawing of the UV1 computer. And remember, I've talked about this one before too, but that is a computer that has, in effect, an Astrocade chipset in it. And yeah, what else? Just lots and lots of material here, of which I'm going to turn this over. Well, probably shouldn't do that. Oh, here's a picture of George Moses. This is a pretty cool article. This is actually on ballyalley.com. You can read the article. But it's a play on his name. And so here's George Moses. He did a lot of video game music for the Astrocade. And it says, this Moses wants to lead you to the video land. You know, not the promised land. You know, pretty silly pun, but one that, you know, it's kind of funny. The mini arcade gallery. You know, lots of cool stuff. Oh, this is another one I thought was because this one's unusual because, you know, you get the Sunday Times, or not the Sunday Times, but the Sunday newspaper, and I guess they still do this, but like this is from, I think, an ad in a Sunday paper for a place called, this is from Montgomery Ward, but this was for the Astrocade in 1982, I believe. Doesn't really say, but it's $239. And all right, I'm going to wrap this up here. Let's see if I can't find something I can show and zoom in on to, here we go, I'll zoom in on this. Here's a cool little picture. So this picture here, let's zoom in on that. Show you what this is. This is from Video Games Magazine, page 46. And we have a close-up of the show floor of the CES, probably 1983, 1984, something like that. But you can see here, we have a Magic stand, we have the 20th Century Fox stand, and here, right here, we have the Professional Arcade stand. And if I recall correctly, they don't talk about the this stand here, but I would love to know if there's people out there who have just photos and many hundreds of photos of these, like people who went to the CES and just took photos everywhere, snapping pictures. If you know someone like that, if you know there's a collection out there like that, let me know. So we're going to zoom out now. Oh, here's the Spectro stand. But we're done. We're done for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I only was able to cover 5 or 6 folders, and this one we're going to go through in more detail. This one's going to take a video all by itself. And, you know, I hope you like them. If you don't like them, don't watch them. Thanks for watching up to now. And if you can't handle any more, I get it. I'm going to keep making them. Come along for the ride. Gosh, I kind of stole that from my buddy Quinn. But, and stick around, and coming up, we'll be going through more folders in the next, I don't know, week or so. I'll try to get through maybe 10 more folders and see what I can do about that. So enjoy the video and plug in your Astrocade and give it a go. Thanks for watching.